Nema Tov, how good it is to be back on the Bima with all of you after my maternity leave. How good it is to hear live voices in the sanctuary. And how good it has been to be back in time just to celebrate Hanukkah. It was so wonderful, whether here in the sanctuary, on some of your lawns, or just from home to home over Zoom, to gather around the menorah last week each night. And the power of it isn't just the light, which is of course beautiful and symbolic, but it's really that feeling of connection as we draw close to each other, as we circle around the Chanukiah. And drawing close, circling, coming near is the very translation of this week's Torah portion, Vayigash. Vayigash means to approach, to come near. And as our soap opera story of Joseph's saga reaches its dramatic climax tonight, we see Joseph and his estranged brothers draw close to one another, approach one another for an encounter after many years of estrangement. I won't say too much about it because Lily Goldstein, our wonderful rabbinic intern, is going to teach some Torah when we have a chance to read it. But I will say that Vayigash at its core is about that moment of getting closer to each other, of circling up, of approach. So tonight, as we draw close, whether you're here in our sanctuary, whether you're joining us on live stream, many of our Shabbat dinner groups are here, which is wonderful. It's about drawing close. It's about hitting pause on all of the distractions from our week and just being present for this hour with each other and for each other. And although my daughters are very upset that Hanukkah's over, we got to the 9th night and they said, all right, let's pick out the candles. And it's a big letdown. But even though Hanukkah's over, each week we have a chance to keep kindling lights, to keep adding light into the world. And so we, of course, kindle our Shabbat lights. Adrian, can I invite you to come join me to help us light these candles as we join together in blessing? Add a little sweetness to our Shabbat, whether at home or here. I invite you to rise as we lift a glass for Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzah b'hanu. V'shabbat kadsho me'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zichron lema'aseh bereshit, ki hu yom techilo lemekra'e kodesh, zecher letziat mitzrayim, ki vanu v'charta Ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. Amen. You may be seated. We open our daf tefillah Shir Ladonai, Shir Chadash. Let us sing out a new song. Don't lose the beat. As we prepare for L'Chadodi to officially welcome in Shabbat, personified, we imagine, as a bride, I invite you to take a moment, take a deep breath. Breathe in that extra soul, that neshama yetera we're supposed to get as Shabbat descends. Breathe out whatever you need to leave behind from this week. And we sing together. L'Chadodi v'Krakala. Shmir one another for a moment as we welcome Shabbat. So we can find our way back to our prayer spots, knowing that the connections between us last not only through the service, but long after. You can remain standing, though, for our Barchu, our call to worship, and know that up until now, our prayer could have been done on our own, but the Barchu is actually one of the few moments in our service that requires at least 10 people, requires a minyan, because there's some special alchemy of us being together, of us drawing near to each other, that we are fully ready to pray and to pray the evening service together. So we will remain standing for the Barchu, our call to worship. lechol nafshecha uvechol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher metzavecha yom alevavecha v'shinatam levanecha v'dibarta ba'am v'shivtecha b'veitecha uvlechtecha v'adarech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha uv'kshartam le'ot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתיכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
The good in us will win over all the wickedness, over all the wrongs we have done. We will look back at the pages of written history and be amazed, and then we will laugh and sing. And the good that is in us, children in their cradles, will have won. Our hearts beat with certainty that there is a day and an hour and a mountain called Zion, and that all of the sufferings will gather there and become song, ringing out into every corner of the earth from end to end, and the nations will hear it, and like the caravans in the desert will, all to that morning throng. This is our liberation song.
Just below Hashkivenu, our collective lullaby as night falls. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu shoshem.
Shelter of your peace over us, guide
our tefillah, either in body or in spirit, asking God to help us open our lips in praise.
ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה, ברוך אתה אדוני הקדוש.
As we prepare on this Shabbat Vayigash to draw near to the Holy One, the words of modern liturgist Alden Solovey called Let Us Meet. How can you hear me, God of old? How can you hear my voice in the chorus of song and praise reaching toward heaven? How can I hear you, God of old? How can I hear your voice in the chorus of traffic and regret weighing on my heart? Let us meet in the hills at daybreak. Let us meet in my eyes at sunset. Let us meet in my labor at noontide. Let us meet in this yearning at twilight. My life is a prayer, your whispers a blessing. Let us meet in sacred moments of holiness and love. Let us meet in gentle moments of awe and wonder. Your radiance shimmers across creation. My words approach you, a song of delight. Holy One, let us meet. In a heartbeat, in a breath, in a vision of your holy mountain, where your word, where your righteousness, where your justice and your mercy bless and sustain us all. We take a moment to draw near with the words of our own hearts, standing or seated, whatever's most comfortable for you.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov be'einecha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam.
This being the second Friday, I think. What is time anyway with a new baby? But I think it's the second Friday. We have a chance to take out our Sefer Torah and to read and study some of its words. Again, if you're able, I invite you to rise as we open our ark doors.
Zion tetzeh Torah, ki metzion tetzeh Torah, u'nevar Adonai me'Yerushalayim. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo.
You may be seated.
We'll get to Torah soon. But first, a little bit about this week's Torah portion, Parashat Vayigash. As Rabbi Frankel taught us at the beginning of our service, this week's portion begins with Vayigash, and he drew near. Judah, our people's namesake, Yehudim, draws near to his brother Joseph in a critical moment in his family's story. Joseph, at this point the second in command in Egypt, has discovered a goblet, one that he himself had planted in their youngest brother Benjamin's possessions, and he's threatened all sorts of punishments against Benjamin for this theft, perceived theft. Imprisonment, enslavement, even death. With Benjamin's fate in the balance, Judah draws near to plead for his brother's innocence. It's a brave and frankly very risky moment. At this point, Judah doesn't know that Joseph is his long-lost brother. He thinks he's talking to Pharaoh's right-hand man. but the stakes are still worth it to him. If the brothers are unable to bring Benjamin back to their father Jacob, he likely will not be able to withstand the grief of losing a second favored child. What exactly was Judah doing when he made this approach? Luckily, my now fiance gave his senior sermon on this very question yesterday, and so I had a little help figuring out some answers. What Jacob found and what I'm excited to share with you tonight is that our ancient rabbis offered up a couple of interpretations of what exactly went down between Judah and Joseph. According to the Midrash, our literature that fills in the gaps of our stories, Rabbi Yehuda said that this Vayigash moment was one of fighting. Rabbi Nehemiah says that Vayigash is to compromise or reconcile or appease. And Rabbanan, our rabbis, say that this moment was one of prayer. When Judah drew near to Joseph in this Parsha's pivotal scene, he could have been stepping up, ready to fight, willing to compromise, or engaging in prayer. If we can imagine the fight between Judah and Joseph, we might imagine aggression or violence. Judah is worked up that his brother could be taken away from him, that his father's life could be ruined yet again, and so he wants to fight, to step forward in an aggressive way in order to convince Joseph otherwise. If we go with Rabbi Nehemiah, the idea of reconciling, we might understand Judah's approach as one of compromise. In fact, he offers himself in Benjamin's place. Whatever punishment Joseph has in mind for Benjamin, do to me, Judah, instead. And then there's this question of prayer. Perhaps as Judah is walking up to Joseph, he's praying. He's putting it all out there in the name of saving his brother. Elazar of Worms, who was a leader of the Hasidei Ashkenaz in the medieval period, offers a way of clarifying this prayer this prayer idea. He writes that when we take 3 steps forward in the Amidah, as many of us just might have done, we are doing so because of the 3 moments when our fathers, our leaders, our patriarchs approached in the Bible. Abraham came close to God in order to defend Sodom. He stepped forward for justice. Judah came close to Joseph on behalf of his brother, our story today. He stepped forward out of love. And Elijah came close to God to proclaim Adonai's oneness. He stepped forward out of faith. When Judah steps forward, we don't know which of the 3 approaches he's taking. We don't know if he's fighting or praying or compromising. But what he does next works, and the words that I'm about to read bear that out. Judah's impassioned speech causes Joseph to reveal his identity, and the brothers begin to reconcile their painfully broken family dynamic. When Joseph reveals himself, he says, "Geshuna, come close to me." And the brothers, Vayigashu, they came close, replicating Judah's courageous action to originally step forward. We may find ourselves in difficult moments in our lives, in moments where it's easier to recoil or distance ourselves, to cut out difficult relationships or ignore them altogether. But in this scene, we see the benefit of drawing near to others. It becomes the spark that allows relationships to grow, to repair themselves, and maybe even blossom into something greater. Our Torah reading today is from Parshat Vayigash, Genesis 45, verses 1 through 7. And if you have been lucky enough to draw near to someone, maybe it was through a screen, maybe it was through a mask, but if you have found yourself in closer connection this week than maybe you were able to be before, I'll invite you to stand up and we can offer the blessing over the Torah together. And this is in the middle of your, stand on up. Someone's got to be feeling close. Thank you, Shufflers. So I'm going to open up our Torah. Baruch hu et Adonai hamvorach, Baruch Adonai hamvorach leolam va'ed, Baruch Adonai hamvorach leolam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato, Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah. Amen. You can sit for this. V'lo yachol Yosef lehitapek lechol hanitzavim alav vayikra hotziu kol ish me'alai v'lo amad ish ito v'hitvada Yosef elechav Vayitain et kolo bivchi, vayishmeu Mitzrayim, vayishma beit Paro. Vayomer Yosef el Echav, ani Yosef, ha'od avi chai, velo yachlu Echav, la'anot oto ki nivhalu mipanav. Vayomer Yosef elechav geshu na elai vayigeshu. Vayomer ani Yosef achichem asher mechartem oti Mitzrayma. Ve'ata el teatzvu va'al yichar be'einechem ki machartem oti hena ki limchaya shalacheni Elohim lifnechem ki zeh shnatayim hara'av bekerev ha'aretz ve'od chamesh shanim asher ein charish v'katzir vayishlacheni Elohim lifnechem lasum lachem she'erit ba'aretz ul'hachayot lachem Leave laita gedola. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu torat emet b'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen. So in the presence of our Torah, but more importantly, in the presence of each other, we offer prayers for healing, not only because the Torah is this special sacred scroll, but because the relationships we have are special and sacred. And when we can reach out to each other in prayers of healing, perhaps we can lift each other up through the journeys of renewal. So I'll invite everyone to draw near to those around them, grab a hand, rise as you're comfortable, and we will offer prayers of healing, Armi Sheberach, for these members of our community. Ree and Marvin Weiss, Fred Green, Nancy Hanley, Neil Borden, Esther Schraga, Marlo Wiggins, Carol Sladkis, Dick Stone, Alan Bogner, Harriet Lipton, Hannah Stampleman, Enid Elton, Louise Elton, Bonnie Davis, Lori Weinberg, Stanley Tereski, Bob Glassman, Marty Feldner, Andy Rosenthal, Patricia Zapata, Avraham Yochanan Dov Lesser, Louis Siegel, Nate Moskowitz, Ari Fox, Keith Schoen, Barbara Peabody, June Foreman, Paul Wiggins, Jody Kahn, Joseph Spinelli, Susie Wolfson, Antonia Nalita Cipolla, Harriet Katz, Pat Ryan, Samuel Phillip, Jerry Golner, Ian Spire, Norton Bloomberg, Terry Rossman, Julie Ross, Deb Margolin, Paul Stampleman, Scott Siegel, Greg Kellner, Daniel Foley, George Simonoff, and Jan Vinacore. There is someone whom you're holding in your heart today who's in need of healing of mind or body or spirit. I invite you to share their name aloud with us so that we can carry that hope as well. For those of us joining us online, I'll invite you to share out their names with us too.
As we pray together. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. We remain standing as we prepare to return our Sefer Torah to the Ark. It's Chaim hi, l'machazikim ba, v'tomcha, lehu asher zeracha, zarchena, v'chol etivata, shalom, hashivenu Adonai, elecha v'nashuva, chadesh yameinu kekadam. We remain standing for Alinu. Alinu l'shabach l'adon hakol, l'atid gedula liotzer breshit, shelo asanu k'goyei ha'aratzot, velo sabanu k'meshpachat ha'adama, shelo sam chalkeinu ka'am, v'gavra linu k'chamonam, v'anachnu karim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, lefnei melech,
Melchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, V'namar, V'haya Adonai, L'melech HaKol haaretz, Bayom hahu, Bayom hahu, Adonai Echad, U'Shemo, U'Shemo, U'Shemo Echad.
The Shabbat Vayigash, a Shabbat of closeness. We draw close, we hold close the memories of all those we have lost, loved ones who died in recent days, at this season in years past, or perhaps just who are near to us each and every day. In particular, we continue to mourn the death and observe Shloshim for Matthew Har, brother of Lynn Reichgott, Morton Weintraub, husband of Beatrice, father of John, Ann, and Ned, father-in-law of David and Lisa, Irving Dembski, brother of Cy Dembski, Jordan Wine, husband of Jean Wine, Matthew Fish, husband of Amy, father of Brody, Sarah, and Emily, Ira Birnbaum, father of Jesse and Eric, father-in-law of Lisa and Nancy, Norman Haas, father of Gary Haas, Stephen Chapin, husband of Debbie Chapin, father of Benjamin, Samuel, and Sarah, and Herman. We add to those names those for whom we observe a yahrzeit in our congregational family this Shabbat. This week we think of Joseph Schenkerman, Esther Brand, Arthur Dick, Walter L. Harrison, Yetta Kaplan, Marcia Goldman, Ruth Zilberberg, Esther Rosenthal, Harold M. Kaplan, Robert Mahler, Eleanor Tanner, Harold Kaplan, David Sadowski, Bernard David Sumberg, Beatrice Green, Maxwell Robert Rafkin, Anna Kaufman-Turk, Herman Berkeley, Samuel Rappaport, Rita Weinstock, Frida Medali, Fleischman, Henrietta Lazarus Wall, Aaron Fisk, Irving Wool, Marvin Greenberg, Sarah Dembski, Pauline Bardak, Lillian Volper, Jean Leish, Joyce Schertzer, Catherine Nathan, Donald Nathan, Leo Wine, Evelyn Appel, Anita Koch, Anna Mancino, Alexander Grossman, Gertrude Spinred Fern, Cantor Edward Graham, Clara Haft, Samuel Axelrod, and Rabbi Milton C. Rabinowitz. If you are thinking of someone and saying Kaddish for them and you didn't hear their name out loud, I invite you to say it or whisper it as well. As we draw their presence near to us and honor their memories, joining together in these words of Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash Shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach yurteh v'yamlich malchuteh, b'chayachon uvyomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kari v'imru amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam olmei almayah. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yitalal shemei kudasha v'rechu la'elam min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechamata da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osa shalom b'imrumav Huya asa shalom, aleinu va'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. We say this too for Michael Menashe, husband of Cabrin, father of Danny and Jonathan. Zichronam livracha, may all those who we hold dear, may their memories be for a blessing. Amen. You may be seated. I want to invite up our congregational president, Michael Nathan, to share some readings and maybe a few announcements.
Shabbat Shalom. I guess you all know who I am. I'm Michael Nathan. I'm president of the temple. First of all, I'd like to thank Rabbi Franco, Rabbinic Intern Goldstein, Emma Redfield, and Jonathan Freeman for leading us in such a beautiful service. And I And welcome back, Rabbi Frankel. I think next time, though, we expect Caleb to be up here with you. I mean, I think, we all deserve that.
Miriam and Judith were there last week, so, we're getting there.
We're getting there. Okay. We've got a bunch of things going on. Tomorrow we have Hevra Torah in the morning, and Rabbi Frankel will be leading a musical minyan again. On Sunday, we have a Brotherhood Breakfast, and through the work of the Brotherhood, it's open to everyone. The breakfast will be Julie Metz, who is an author. She's written a New York Times best-selling author. She's written a book called Eva and Eve about Nazi Germany, Nazi Austria, I guess. We also have a lot of stuff going on social action. I'm not going to read through all of that, but in this time of the year, we should be thinking about those that are less fortunate than us. They're in the weekly email, so please take a look and get involved. I hope everybody has a great holiday season, and Shabbat Shalom.
Yes, I'm still Rabbi Frankel, not Cantor. But thank you all for, no, you just pitch hitting. Cantor sure is on her mini sabbatical in Italy, davening maybe, in Tuscany tonight. So thanks for helping keep the beat and raise your voices. And I just want to say also, I know many of you are going off to Shabbat dinners together, which is wonderful. I know I have at least one friend who's never been to Larchmont Temple before. So before you leave the sanctuary, if you see someone you don't know, you've never met, say hello, wish them a Shabbat Shalom. And I hope that all of our Shabbat dinner groups have a lovely evening. So on this Shabbat Vayigash of coming close, of drawing near, we end with a hope, with a prayer, not just that we should come closer to those we know and those we love, but even those who maybe feel further away, that enemies may draw just one step closer to one another, that we may yet get one step closer to peace. Od yavo shalom aleinu, we believe that day will come. Od yavo shalom aleinu.